thinking strategically about Jack Smith and what the decision he made to add additional evidence and an additional defendant to a case that he was already trying to push towards trial. So what I read on this is he's decided that he wants to bolster his case against Donald Trump. He's now found, I mean, one thing that people aren't as focused on, but I think is very important is he's found the top secret document that Trump was waving around and rustling around in that audio tape. I think that's super important. He's now identified that, put that in the indictment. You got another poor schlub out there who Trump was using to try to obstruct justice, and he's thrown him in as a defendant in the hope that he's giving himself now 2 shots at getting a flipper instead of 1. Okay. And maybe, they can also kind of have a pressure against each other. It's like, who's going to flip first, or is the other guy going to flip on me? That sort of thing. But I also think that Jack Smith has made a calculus that Aileen Cannon's not going to help him rush this case to trial. And so his decision is, I want to have the strongest possible case against Donald Trump instead of racing to the finish line. And so he's done it.
Yeah.
It was already a really strong case. Now it's even stronger. And I think it sends a message before another indictment, which is probably going to come, next week, if not soon thereafter.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, is there any connection between why I mean, I know there was so much speculation yesterday. There's this 7-hour grand jury meeting. Is the superseding indictment the reason the J6 indictment didn't happen? You had a couple interesting tweets. You said if Trump's team is actually meeting with Smith, that suggests an indictment won't be returned today. This was yesterday. Smith wouldn't agree to meet to discuss a potential indictment while secretly indicting that day, but perhaps Trump's team didn't reach out until too late. We don't know. And then you said if the indictment becomes public on the same day as the meeting with Trump's team, that means that the meeting was more about logistics and other loose ends rather than about the decision to indict. What's your speculation on what happened yesterday? What is happening? Are they connected, the superseding indictment and the J6 indictment?
First of all, I don't think so, other than, you have the same prosecutor at the top. I don't think there's a connection there. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Second of all, what was happening yesterday is something that's pretty routine in white-collar criminal cases and other types of, really any type of federal criminal indictment that's the result of a lengthy investigation. You give the defense an opportunity to come in, try to convince you that you're wrong, try to convince you to narrow the charges, try to work out a deal, that sort of thing. So that's pretty normal. The reason that I said that I didn't think there'd be an indictment that same day, and I think this is something that everybody listening can get their head around. If I told you, like, let's try to work out this problem. Like, maybe let's say there's a performance issue at work with your employee. You're like, all right, let's have a meeting to try to work it out. And then you actually secretly fired them like an hour before the meeting.
Yeah.
You let them know after. Oh, we already decided this morning to fire you. We were just, screwing around with you with the meeting. Like, it's just not something you would do, right? And
I have, but that's different. That's just fun.
There you go. But a DOJ, I don't think would do that. So realistically, it's just really bad form. I think that Jack Smith's at least going to wait a couple days to make it seem like he considered what they had to say. And sometimes do, because sometimes the defense does present things that you're like, I used to tweak my indictments, and the defense would come in. They'd have their spin on things, and their arguments are like, okay, I see now that that's where they're going with this. Let's add a few lines here to deal with this.
Right.
Or let's take out that paragraph or add in this paragraph. So
see, I figured it was just
there's tweaks.
I figured it was just a lot of begging and crying, a lot of groveling, a lot of snot involved. But so when the grand jury meets yesterday, and we know that Trump's team met with Jack Smith, so that timing, then you're saying probably will be next week. I mean, could be today. We don't know, but probably you're saying more like that time frame seems like next week.
I assume so. The reason I said in my tweet, like, if it's really soon, is then that whole meeting was about logistics. In other words, it wasn't a serious discussion about whether to indict or what charges to bring or that sort of thing. It was just like, hey, what are we going to do when he's arrested, and how are we going to deal with security and all of that stuff?
How do we find handcuffs that small? That little things like that.
Well, yeah, I think that. So I think likely I think next week, for what it's worth, for all the people that are trying to book me on television, they're all asking me about next week. So I don't know. I think that's the conventional wisdom, but I don't know. I don't. Nothing would surprise me here. I mean, I think the fact that Smith kind of threw us a curveball suggests to me that who knows, there could be a couple more weeks or 3 more weeks. One thing is, I think there's this view out in the public, like this guy's got a race to get things done on some timetable, and
Yeah.
I don't get the sense that I think Smith is trying to go as quickly as possible. He's trying to get as speedy of a trial as he could, but at the end of the day, he's going to get his cases put together in the way that he thinks is best able to win. And if that means he needs to interview somebody else, he's going to do it.
Yeah, no, I see. And obviously, the other big story is the security or barriers have gone up outside the Fulton County courthouse. All we know on that is that Fonnie Willis has told people to clear their schedules the first 2 weeks in August. So Monday is the last day of July. So next week, what's the legal term, is going to be lit, isn't it, Renato?
Yeah, I think Fulton County. Yeah, Fulton County. That indictment is a guarantee. It was. If you had any doubt that there was going to be an indictment coming out of Fulton County, just watch that grand jury foreperson. Right. I mean, she did not have a poker face at all. She was like trying to keep herself from saying it, but it was like contorting her face.
She was Kristen Wiig in the Slumber Party sketch on SNL. She was like, "Oh, I'm so excited." So great.
Exactly. So I think it's safe to say we're going to get an indictment out of Fulton County in August.
So, I mean, obviously, the reaction, I mean, just words like mind-boggling, blown away. These are, by, longtime legal experts like you. Were you surprised at how more and more mafia-esque this gets? I mean, this doesn't get any more like the boss wants the tape deleted. It's just, I mean, it really is sort of extraordinary. How this smacks of the mafia movies, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Trump definitely has this sort of personal loyalty thing built up, and he definitely tries to get people to do all sorts of things they shouldn't for him. It's not in the first time, and there are a lot of them are schlubs. Even the ones who are attorneys are often schlubs. I mean, I think of Rudy Giuliani as kind of a sad sack character at this point, right?
Legal term, schlub.
Yeah, but he's got. Well, we used to call them mopes when we were prosecutors.
Jamokes.
It's like a mope, because the point being, like, how hard do you want to go against those people? And that's why I think Jack Smith, by the way, is charging those people with is a way of kind of tightening a grip on Trump. Not really because he's trying to go after every random person working at Mar-a-Lago who got roped into doing something very stupid. But I think it's sad. And I think it's a sad commentary that this guy is once again, within striking distance of the White House. It really is a sad commentary on the Republican Party.
Yeah. That
this person is is not a pariah, is even a serious figure within the party. What a disgrace.